The things that I've accomplished the most on were probably the ones that I wasn't talking that much about. It was the ones I was just doing day after day in quiet, not giving myself that like dopamine outlet. And instead, just all the dopamine was going in one place, which was the thing I was working on. Welcome to the Willpower Podcast. All right, y'all, let's get right into this one. It's an interesting week for me. I am in the midst of a move, and I decided to rent out my room before the date that I was able to move on. First, on background, I rent out rooms in my house, and I finally rented out the entire thing. But I did not make sure that my apartment that I was moving into would be available. And so I have a week free. So I'm going the hotel motel route for this week. I looked at a few Airbnbs, had a couple of friends I could have stayed with, but having a dog, there's a wrench in things. And so things are a little weird. It's weird to not have usually when you move, you leave one place and that's a little unsettling, but there's a new place that I can settle right into. And so I'm in this weird in between where it's like I've left the old place, my house where I've lived for 2.5 years now. And now I'm just in this like limbo place of like this purgatory. I don't have a home right now, is what it feels like. And it's odd. It feels weird. I don't know if I would be able to live a full nomadic lifestyle. Like a lot of people like the like tech nomad remote job type of thing. It sounds cool. It has sounded cool to me in the past. I don't know if I could do it though. I don't know. Maybe if that was like more of like the plan, but right now it's like, I'm not doing this out of a desire to be staying in a hotel. It's because I don't have the apartment that I want to move into. And that's also one I'm very excited about. So with that, let's talk about moving in, clearing the slate. So moving into a new place, like the entire slate is cleared. In terms of associations, in terms of patterns, behaviors, routines, it's all pretty much open. And my suspicion is that the first few weeks of being in a new space are extremely important in how my time there will play out as a whole. So like how I associate my apartment, like what behaviors I associate with the apartment. Do I associate it with like laying on a couch and melting into my phone or into my computer or into the TV? Or do I associate it with like a peaceful, calm place where I relax and have a meal and like sit on the balcony, play with Reba? Like what is it that I associate it with, and what emotions does it bring with it? And I think that all super important based on I think the first couple of weeks really are where that sets in. And it of course changes over time. It's like how like first impressions aren't everything, but they are still like they're the most important impression. Same thing here. The first few weeks are where it's set in. From there, it still changes, but not as much. So I've been thinking about that a lot, trying to stay cognizant, stay aware of the fact that like my associations will be built very quickly there. And it's up to me how to pick those and make sure that they happen in a way that I'm happy. Well, yes, I have a good topic I wanted to talk about. So this was brought up a while back on a podcast. I don't remember which guest brought it up. Basically, their idea was when you talk too much about the things that you are working on or the things that you want to have happen, let's say it that way. When I talk too much about the things that I want to have happen, what happens is my brain gets excited. It gets like very dopamine heavy. I start like releasing dopamine because I'm talking about this thing that's exciting to me and that I want to have happen in the future. So my example is my 3-month plan for getting my fitness up, my running, speed runs, and a few other things that I wanted to hit in 3 months. And I talked about it a bunch. I talked about it on here. I told a bunch of friends about it. And like every time I would talk about it, I would get a little bit of a dopamine hit of excitement towards this thing. And what this guy on my podcast was saying was, when that happens, your brain actually like loses its excitement over the thing. It doesn't care as much because you've already been getting so much excitement just talking about it. And so the more you talk about it, the less like dopamine, quote unquote, that you have to actually do the thing. And so I've been expanding upon that, thinking about that a little bit more. And it seems to me that the purpose of that excitement, the reason we get excited for things, is because it gives us some motivation to actually do it. So let's say you set a goal, you imagine that goal happening, that gives you a little bit of a boost as you imagine that goal and accomplishing it. And that desire, that motivation, that dopamine actually gives you some energy to move towards that thing, right? This is not like groundbreaking, kind of makes sense. It's pretty intuitive. What happens when you talk about the thing is you get that excitement, but it's not going towards the thing. So you get that rush of excitement. There's nowhere for it to go because you're just talking about it. Your brain doesn't know that though. Your brain thinks, oh, we're still like, we're talking about it. That's something. We're imagining it. Let's use some dopamine. Let's kick out some dopamine while we do this. And that's why it's often fun. And a lot of people fall into these traps, myself included, where it is always like it's always, there's something coming. Like, oh, I'm working on this thing. Oh, I'm losing weight this year. I'm, doing my new business. In 6 months, I'm going to be here. And we all know these people who talk, again, I'm one of these people, talk about these things and then have nothing to show for it because of the fact that we talked about it so much. That's the thing. That's the thing we're not realizing. When you do things in quiet, all of your excitement for that thing gets channeled into the actions that create the thing. So if I was to simply write down the stuff for myself, maybe share it with some people, not in the excitement, hey, look at this awesome thing I'm doing, but in the way of, hey, here's this thing I'm doing. Can you check in with me about it? Boom. That's it. That's it. That's all I need. I don't need to talk more about it. Don't need to make a whole video about it. Doing something like that, or not even telling anybody. Just make a checklist. Here are the things I want to get done. Here's what it's going to take. Now, every time I look towards that goals, I still have that dopamine trigger that's ready to go. And when that dopamine goes off, it's in line with what I'm trying to get done. It is just like directly on the actions that are going to make me accomplish the thing that I want to accomplish. So this is all to say, I've realized I have been talking a lot and it is not benign. It's not benign to just talk about all the things that you want to get done. It seems like it's not a factor, like it's something completely different. But I truly believe, based on like how my motivation systems work, how it seems that everyone else's motivation systems work similarly, that, again, this is not something that is happening in a vacuum. When you talk about those things and you like amp yourself up with nowhere to go, it takes away. It takes away from the actual actions that are going to get you towards what you want to get towards. So that's something I've been thinking about. And I know that in my own life, looking back, there are periods where I have accomplished a lot. And the things that I've accomplished the most on were probably the ones that I wasn't talking that much about. It was the ones I was just doing day after day in quiet, not giving myself that like dopamine outlet. And instead, just all the dopamine was going in one place, which was the thing I was working on. So that's something I'm thinking about. And I can already hear the kind of pushback of if being like, having fun, talking with friends about stuff you're working on, that's all fun. That's great. But there is like a very, very thin line or fine line between just sharing things and having a fun conversation and then the dopamine hit of being able to talk about the thing that you're working on or that you're going to do. Let's say it that way. Sharing about the thing you've worked on is awesome. Sharing about the thing you're going to do seems to be potentially taking away from the actual possibility of it happening. And yeah, even as I say this, I'm like that. It seems to be very true. It seems that most of the time I hear someone talk about something they're going to do. I shouldn't say most of the time. Much of the time it does not pan out. Especially when you can feel the excitement of like, oh yeah, this is the thing I'm working on. This is going to happen. And then nothing happens. The thing does not happen. So don't talk about it. Keep it to yourself. Let your brain do its thing. Let your motivation systems work how they're supposed to work. And just fucking go right into that thing. Use all that excitement that you got. I've been real tired this week. I think with moving out, I was like antsy to clean up and move all my stuff. And so I didn't sleep well. And then feels like I've been playing catch up since then. And I know for myself that sleep is one of the most important things. I actually had a very interesting revelation on Aura about a week or so ago. I noticed when my girlfriend had come to visit a few weeks ago, I mentioned on here, but I didn't sleep very well because just the excitement of her being there, us doing different stuff, having more caffeine, all of that. And I noticed that I was feeling really off by like the end of that weekend, just like physically off, where my head just feels like a little unclear, like not super energetic. Body just doesn't feel great. And so I could feel that, but I didn't really know what it was because I didn't feel like I slept terribly or anything. And I looked at my Aura app. And Aura, for anyone who doesn't know, is like the sleep tracking ring. There's lots of other ones. Aura is just the one that charges the most. And I looked at the app and I saw that they had this thing called sleep debt. And sleep debt tells you how much in debt you are for your sleep, which I do know is kind of like a fallacy. Like it's not quite correct that you go into debt and then you can like make up the debt. From what I've read about sleep from Matthew Walker is like when you miss sleep, you just miss it. It's kind of just gone and there's not really a way to like win it back. But that being said, I know by my own experience that when I don't sleep well, I tend to need like more sleep to catch back up to feeling normal, the day after. So I would say there is some truth to like on a given day, if you want to be back at baseline and you didn't sleep well the night before, God, I keep yawning. You are in debt in that way that you need more sleep to get back to baseline the next day. Even if overall as a whole human, like that lack of sleep hurt you, getting back to just feeling, okay, I feel 100%, that's going to take some extra sleep. What I saw on Aura is that my sleep debt on that weekend was insanely high. Like I was way in debt. And I forget how they score it, if it's on like hours or some like made up score or percentage or something. But in that one weekend, I was like very much in debt, like more in debt than I saw any other time on the recent calendar in recent months. And so that was really interesting and also very enlightening, very much like a eureka moment of like, this has an explanation. It's not just like, oh, I just am going to feel like crap and I don't get to do anything about it. It's like, no, I felt like crap, but here's exactly why. And with that, because I can see why, I can also see there's a clear way to fix it. There's a clear thing I can do that will make me not feel like crap. And it is fully relating to sleep. So this week I've been not sleeping well, or at least not feeling like I've been sleeping well. like I said, just yawning. I've yawned like 4 times already during this recording. And yeah, I don't know that I necessarily feel like tired, but I definitely don't feel 100%. I don't feel as excited to be working. I don't feel as energetic, as motivated. I've been like falling off onto watching just like podcasts and like UFC replays and whatever else I can justify to myself. So I definitely can see that there has been like something's off. And I think it's related to sleep. So again, that sleep debt thing, I should probably check, because I'm realizing now I haven't even looked at my Aura score since I moved out. And yeah, I'm wondering if I am in some kind of debt. And again, it's like, yes, it's not fun to see that I'm in debt, but at the same time, it is in another way that it's exciting to see, oh, there's a way for me to turn this around, or for me to avoid this in the future. And yeah, that's good. That's good when you have a problem that you have a solution to. That's kind of what we all want, right? We just want problems, and we want the solutions to the problems. The worst is when you have a problem with no solution. But it's not clear that having no problems is a better option. I had something else I was writing about that I feel like pertains to this, and I have not fleshed out the idea yet. And I think there's something there. But like I said, I haven't fleshed it out. It's going to take some time. But it is around the idea of being thrust into this question, which is, what do I spend my time on? What do I put my energy into in general? And that may not sound like much, but I think that that's one of the more fundamental questions of our lives as modern humans, is what do I do with this? What do I do with this energy that I have? What do I do with this time that I have? Do I do with it? And it's one of these fundamental questions that, like, we were forced to answer this by the sake of being born. It's not something that any of us chose, and there isn't really another option. You can't say, oh, I'm just not going to answer the question, because by not answering, you are answering. You could just go pick a job that you are like, okay, I'm just going to listen to what they tell me and do that. And that's how I'm going to spend my time. And outside of work, I will watch TV. I'll watch what's on TV, and I will order the food that comes up on Uber Eats. And I don't have to answer that question. I don't have to answer the question of, what do I spend my time on? What do I spend my energy on? But when you live that way, you're answering the question. You're answering the question by just giving it to someone else and pretending that you are not the one answering. And you are. You're the only one who gets to answer that question. And when you pass the answer to someone else, you're simply saying, okay, I'm going to take his answer. And his answer might not be the best answer. It's like cheating off someone on a test, and then you find out, like, oh, that person was just as dumb as me. I shouldn't have been cheating off them, because they also don't know algebra. And so I think that as we grow up in school, specifically in like American schools, we're kind of taught to ignore this question, avoid this question. Even with going to college, like, they make it very much like, here are your options, just pick one, and you'll figure out the rest later. Like, what you're actually going to do, don't worry so much about that. Even when you're like a freshman in high school, for me at least, it was like, yeah, you'll pick your college, but like, don't worry about it too much. And there just is this underlying avoidance of the question, which every single person in that high school has already been thrust upon them. And we are all ignoring the question. And by ignoring it, we're answering it by saying, what's worth spending my time on is what I'm told to spend my time on. And so being an entrepreneur, or a wantrepreneur, by leaving my job, I've had that question thrust onto me. Like, without question, it is there. It exists every single day. Every time I sit down at my computer, it is right there in front of me. So I'm being confronted with it. But the point I'm making is that that question exists for everybody. And just because it isn't confronting you every day doesn't mean that you aren't answering it. The more that we can realize that every day that I do something, I am deciding what to spend my life on. I am deciding to spend my life on this job. I'm working on these things my boss tells me to do, on eating this bullshit food that's not good for me, on watching this television show that is not really making my life any better. Once we realize that, like, we are making those decisions, it changes things. And again, it's easy to just forget. It's easy to just fall into, this is just how it is. This is how things are. This is how things have been set up for me. I'm going to keep doing them. It's not the case. Every day, each one of us is deciding what we are going to spend our lives on. So that's what I was writing about. Again, I haven't really fully fleshed it out, but it feels good to get to talk about it. Yeah. Maybe clear it up a little bit. It feels a little more whittled out, like thought through than it was before. But I think it's important. It's an important thing to wrestle with. And this podcast, we talk about willpower and ability to get things done. But then it's also like, okay, well, why? Like, what are you trying to get done? What is the purpose of doing it? And that's what this question is about. Like, what are we spending our time on? Is it in the aim of something good? Or is it not? I don't know. I think I'm running out of steam here. Definitely feeling the sleepiness set in. It's only 5:30 p.m., but yeah, I'm getting tired. So, yeah, you'll have to wish me luck on this move this weekend. Riding out the rest of my time here. Me and Reba we're holding it down. And yeah, big things to come. One other thing I'll talk about. This was brought up by a friend. He was talking about how he wants something in his life and it's just like taking more time than he wants it to take. And I'm like, dude, that's me right now, 100%. Like with the app, I want it to make money. It's not making money yet. And it's really hard to like sit down to work when I'm in the state of wanting it to make money now, because it makes me want to like figure out, how can I make money on this today? And that's the wrong place to come from. That day will come, hopefully, inshallah. But it's going to take time, and it's going to take laying groundwork now, and it's going to take slow growth. And so wanting it to all happen now is just unrealistic, and it's also not the smartest way to build the most solid thing in the future. So the best way for me to make money is probably to not prioritize making money right now. The more that I can delay it and push it out and say, okay, the thing I'm doing today will make me money in 6 months and a year. The more I can do that, the better off I'm going to be at that time. And the more I go, I need to make money right now. Like I need it right now. That's just going to destroy what I could have had. Having faith in the decisions I'm making and the actions I'm taking, going slow, allowing it to be slow, and trusting in the fact that I am building something long-standing and worthwhile in the long run. I think that's the right way to think about it. So let's call it that. Hopefully you took something from this whole talk, and if not, then shoot. All right, I'll be back next week, maybe with a guest, maybe not. We shall see, and that's all we got. Bye, everybody.